Hi, in this video I would like to present a couple of new features in the universal cleaner part of the LogCleaner for version 3.10 available now for download. So we want to downsample and clean up a 5 Hz log, and as you can see it's got a date, hour, latitude, longitude and a standard boat speed, and then there's a distance which unfortunately has a character next to it. And this is what we're going to deal with. And then there's also a text field which for ballast, which can take the values of full and we can see later on empty. Also, as in a lot of logs, you see that the boat speed is quite slow in the beginning. Possibly the boat was in the harbor still and we're not super interested in that data. That'll come into play into those new features. So let's start the universal cleaner, get our log file loaded, and then do our standard configuration. The date and time is in column 1 and column 2, and it's a default format. We do have some GPS in column 3 and longitude column 4. The GPS format is degrees, all good. And then we've got the list of all the variables it's found in there. So the first thing we can do is address the issue with that distance having meters here. And so we now have a new checkbox for distance where we can say, please clean that up. And if you leave your mouse over it, it will tell you, explain what it does. It just removes any non-numerical character from whatever it reads. Then we have a true and angle, which is we just want 1 decimal, and this is an angle 180. And then we got a ballast, and the ballast is in fact, actually if I click here it should show it, so it's in fact some text. So let's go ahead and specify that it's text. Right, here's our 5 variables. Click next. And we have a new feature here for the filters. So these are the old ones which you can find in a previous video. And here's the boat at dock filter, where I want to say, please remove any data at the beginning and at the end of the log file where the boat was not going fast enough. So I need to specify what variable the boat speed is in, and say if the boat was less than 5 knots, you know, 4 knots maybe, then ignore any data. So this will only do that for the beginning of the file. It will go through the original log file and look at the first point where the boat speed was over 4 knots and ignore anything that was before that. So basically it should ignore anything before 13.0002, and it does the exact same at the end of the file, going from the very end, going back up until it finds the last point in time where the boat was at 4 knots. So we will check that in a minute. And then we have this new calculated variable here, which is text to number variables. So that's what we want to do with our ballast. So let's go ahead and click and add. And then it's going to propose to derive it from all the variables that have been declared as text. And we've only declared ballast. It's proposing a default name of ballast underscore val. Let's keep that way. And then I'm going to declare a mapping here. So I know that I need to look up my log, but it can either have the value full or, as we saw later on, empty. So this is what I'll declare here. I'll say here full and empty, and maybe I want these to be percentages. So I'll say that this is going to get a value of 100 and this is going to get a value of 0. You can add rows here if you want to have more fields, and then a default value will be when it finds a text value that is not declared here, or there's just an empty field there. It will have a default value. Maybe for us we should put -1, which will be an indicator that there was no value, or the value was not part of the mapping declared. So by cleaning up, it just removes those rows, and then I can type some comments here, which I want to now. Click OK. I can edit this, delete this, and save that specifically if I've got multiple ones to a file, if I want to reuse it in other projects. But it should be persistent from one session to the next. So let's carry on. Everything will go here by default. And let's run this log. Save it. Let's have a look at it now. So the clean log. I will open it with my notepad, and so we can see that as predicted, we don't have any data between 13.0003 because the boat speed did not reach the threshold we specified. Distance is in here, and it's removed the character M. And we now have two variables, one called ballast and one called ballast val. We still have the text field, but also we've got the mapping that we specified, which is 100 or 0. And that's it for the new features.